So I wanted to show this picture of these geese and their babies walking in my neighborhood. There's so many little geese and their babies. I think they're called what are they called? Gooselings? Goslings? Anyway, whatever they're called. They're the cutest things, and they're growing up, and there's so many little couplings happening, and some only have one, some have five, and it's just adorable. And that's like really cool to me to walk around and see these little baby geese. And I notice the ones who have only one are very protective, very ultra protective, but then the ones who have five will waddle along and like forget one or two as they walk. So like they're very experienced parents apparently. They're just adorable. But anyway, I went to confession yesterday, and the reason why I'm talking about it is because after receiving the Eucharist, I received an overflow. Like I was praying, and all of a sudden I felt like something tumbling into my spirit, like an overflow of something, I would say it's the spirit, I would say, but I could feel it literally filling my chest. And it was very peaceful, I don't know, it felt really nice, reassuring. I also want to talk about some theological videos I was watching lately. It's with Dr. James Torr, and the reason why I'm talking about this, he doesn't lean toward any type of ideas about science and God, but he makes a really great point about there's no way that this is chance. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is another video I'll put below is Pastor Mike Winger was talking about a question given to him as to why Christians believe in evolution. And I believe the reason why some Christians believe that we came from apes, or sometimes not so much defend it, but just are like, yeah, I believe that we evolved, might be because there's no other theories presented. And I don't think that's an accident. And if you're doing a real quest for truth, you're going to have different options. I mean, it's not like it's just a theory, and then everybody kind of defends the word theory like scientifically it means something different. But also, science says that if you're making an honest search, there's got to be different options, especially when there are experts coming out of that field of understanding evolution going, that doesn't add up. Because even Darwin himself said that there has to be countless numbers of this missing chain links, I should say, between the ape itself, the Lucy person being, and in the ground found that connect all these dots, and that there's no connections there. And so this video is not about me trying to disprove evolution. This is about how I'd have to be a PhD in the cosmos. I'd have to be a PhD in the science of the earth, and in carbon dating, and in the creation of the cell, like Dr. James Torres. He understands, like, not the creation of the cell, but like how the cell, the different parts of the cell, how it all comes together. And one of the arguments he makes is, even if you were able to individually make each individual part of a cell, which is extremely complex beyond understanding, you couldn't sew them together. Like, you couldn't sew all these parts together to make a cell, even if you could come up with at least one of these parts, which is awesome to hear him say that, because there's no chance that's an accident. There's no chance. And this is not something that's found in, as common as people would say. Like, some of these scientists who are, I think they're called creationists. I don't know. Sometimes their labels imply that I'm sure Isaac Newton studied theology as closely as he studied science. So I don't know if there's a shame there, but I know people love to kind of push aside any scientist who says, hey, seems like there's something more going on. The skipping of species is not really something, butterflies don't come from lizards, so why would that apply in any other place? So my point here is I'm not arguing against evolution, because nobody cares, because nobody likes truth anymore. What I'm saying is, could we be objective? Could we make an honest argument that there should be some other theories out there, when there's so many experts? Just like in the last few years, there were only 2 or 3 experts that were heard, but there were hundreds of experts who were screaming at the top of their lungs what they're saying, what those three experts at the top of the media are saying are liars. They're wrong, 100% wrong. And they're putting their reputation on the line to call them liars. But nobody cares because that's not the people. They're all drowned out. Only three people, only three voices are heard, while everybody else is drowned out. Now we know the truth of whatever happened, right? So we could be doing this in science, and this is my point. My point is the reason why Christians side with evolution is because there's no other theory presented where the experts allow us to completely understand it. Like in third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, is there anything that's distilled that's a theory that's different than evolution? Is there any, carbon dating scientist or scientists who are looking at the universe and saying, hey, this doesn't add up to what we're being told, especially with this James Webb thing? And the scientists are being confronted right now with that device they put out there. They're realizing their theories are wrong. And so they're just going to, kind of back up and try to readjust the theory a little bit, but that's not the truth. That's not how the truth works. You don't try to stick to what you know. You have to follow the truth where it leads, and that's not what these scientists are doing. And so I would have to be a PhD in 5 things in order to really ever be treated or taken seriously with my argument, because nobody likes the truth, right? So why don't these experts come together and put a theory together that can sit in a science book, in a third grader science book, that honestly, sincerely, walking into the courtroom of logic, debunks evolution? I mean, Darwin was such a racist. And so I mean, that alone should cancel the guy. I don't even know why he's sitting in books anymore. I don't understand. But anyway, there's so many other explanations, and I think listening to that and hearing the answer from Mike Winger, he was going on, and you could tell he did a lot of research on it. And I was like, dude, this is not, the everyday person cannot do this research and come out with it. There are experts that can distill this information and make it so it's digestible. I mean, isn't that kind of the job of an educated person? Is to make it so that you could talk to a kid about it and they can understand it. I mean, if you truly understand something, you should be able to do that. So why not a few theories? Why does it only have to be one? I mean, that's why we believe in evolution, is because there's nothing else presented, and we don't got the time to become experts and everything. But I'm going to put these videos where there's a theologian. This is a funny video, and he's sitting next to Dr. James Tour. And it's just so funny because he's translating. He even says it in the video how he's translating what the doctor is saying, so that we can understand it, right? So he's like, listen, I think I understand what he's saying, kind of moment where, because, the experts have a hard time bringing down the language a bit because they're so precise. They have to use the terminology that's given. And what this theologian does is he translates it theologically so it's a little bit more understandable for people who maybe study theology or are Christian or but it's very cool. And I'll also put the Mike Winger video below. I'll put another channel I watch too. It's a science channel where there's this discussion between the mathematician, a few different scientists, and they're in a circle and they're discussing this whole creationism concept, and it's very interesting. But anyway, I would like it if things were condensed in a way that wasn't speaking over people's heads, could be taught in school, should be sitting in a science book for third graders, fourth graders, to understand there are other theories. And I believe this other theory is the truth, clearly, but I see it. I see all the scientists coming out with their own expertise going, something's not adding up here. So that's the point of this video, is that there are other options, things to believe in, and we're never going to be able to come to a conclusion as a Christian group, as a mind melt, if your focus is on the carbon dating and like, oh, well, based on carbon dating, this and this is true. And I'm like, yeah, well, based on the cell, this is true, because I could reference Dr. James Tour because that's what I'm interested in. And another person would step forward and go, oh, do you know that those, Darwin actually said that we're supposed to, in the future, for this theory to be true, we're supposed to find more of these fossils that kind of fill in the blanks when we haven't done that yet. Why isn't there more of a together, concise or precise theory is my question. I mean, what are these experts doing? I don't know. This is Linda of Christ is King forever. May God be with you.